We'll get going here, okay, Kate? This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board. It is Thursday, September 5th, 2019. Attending today are
Dan Weary,
Bob Haley,
Julia Marshall,
Jeff Romano,
Cynthia Carter,
Lisa Tanzi.
thank you. Just for those who are here, please know that these meetings now are recorded and are live. You can go check them later and pull them up and see them. And that's a good thing for the public access to these proceedings. So with that said, can I have a motion for acceptance of the minutes?
So moved.
All right. All right. Jeff made the motion and Dan seconded him. Are there any discussion or comments or corrections needed?
should it not say adjoining State Tower for zoning referrals?
Fourth line.
For the fourth line of the Water Street project? Because it's not adjoining the State Tower garage building.
Yeah, it's a good point. The State Tower garage,
Adjacent.
does the State
it
Tower
adjacent?
garage connect to it? I can't remember it. I think it might.
I don't think it does, isn't it?
It's, I
All
would
right.
say
Say
adjacent.
adjacent.
Yeah, not adjoining. That's a good point. Any other details that need to be corrected? If not, all those in favor of passing the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, abstaining? All right, thank you. Moving on to old business, and there is no old business on the docket. We have new business, starting with CA 1916, which is 812 North Salina Street, Assumption Church site work application. Yep. Please have a seat. Thank you. Thank you. Please introduce yourself for the boards here, please.
My name is Kyle Thomas. I'm with Natural Systems Engineering, and we're doing the church on the county safety project.
Wonderful, wonderful. We have your drawings and we've looked at them, but would you like to explain your project? Discuss what you'd like to do. All right. Yeah, these are a little small. Please. I was able to blow them up on my computer, but
Really?
I looked at it online, so I can share. Can you?
sure.
Bob, why don't you move over?
All right. Very good.
Much larger.
Some of you may know that we recently sold a bunch of our buildings on the Assumption campus because and we wanted to do a better job of maintaining the buildings. So we were very lucky to sell them to Steve Case and Troy Evans, who have been very great partners for us. And they redid some of their parking, and they've been very attentive to the historical nature of the buildings. And see the apartment from the inside is actually beautiful. So they've done a great job.
Good to hear.
It's full of young adults.
That's great.
And it's revitalizing. I will say it was scary for a while. And they put in they redid the parking lot there, and they were explaining to me what was different about the asphalt we were using in the Department of State the Rain project. And I said, well, what is a little parking lot in our area that happens to say the rain? We'll get to that. And so they explained the whole how the water running off the parking lot and the building affects the streams and rivers and the our whole environment. So when we looked at our place, we tried as well, so we did it. And with Kyle's help, we realized that we have also very big roofs that project a lot of water into the system. So we wanted to do it in a way that obviously was respectful of the building and the site. We want it in the garage, but that would work. So Kyle and his team have developed a plan for the parking lot, a plan for the front lawn. We have rain gardens that we think look quite nice. We're open to suggestions, ideas, whatever. And the other big thing for me was also the facade of our parking lot. Right now it looks very bleak. The entrance, it's not, look at all those like, barriers you have on the highway. That's what parking.
Oh, the guardrails guardrails? Is that what you mean, the metal guardrails? Steel guardrails?
A fence that kind of mirrors what's on the church already, at the front of the priory, that rod iron fence kind of style, and some trees and grass, just make it more, less of a concrete jungle on that part of the property.
Yeah, that's a very good introduction. Thank you so much. Can you maybe tell us a little more of the details about, have you used the roofs as suggested, or are you able to use most of the roofs, or maybe?
Yeah, so what you see there in the gray areas are where we're proposing to replace existing pavement with porous asphalt. And then the crosshatch areas are areas of the roofs at the campus there to direct water into the subgrade of the porous asphalt installation. So it's infiltrating water from basically almost all the impervious surfaces that are there now. Some of the contributing area you'll see they're hatched a little bit differently because, like the friar was saying, we're proposing 2 rain gardens for the front of the friary and directing water from some of the roofs into those rain gardens in the planting plan. And
Just pause for a second. The 2 rain gardens, could you describe those from the plan a little bit?
sure, and then I think if you have a full set of plans, there's a planting plan. On the last sheet.
Yep, no, I've seen it. I just hope you could discuss it a little bit.
Yeah, so basically it's just a, I describe it to people as like an inverted flower bed where you've got an area that water can pond up to 6 inches or so and then infiltrate over time into the subsurface. And you plant that with plants that are adapted to that kind of, inundation followed by, drying out over time. And,
Also, are these forms new to the yard?
Yes.
But they're in the existing lawn area,
Right.
is that right? Thank you. Okay.
There should be images.
Yeah, there are. I was just trying to make it clear. I apologize for being redundant. Just trying to get it clear.
So where you're taking the roof drainage to the surface below the pervious asphalt, are you replacing subsurface? Are the conditions there going to accept all that water?
Well, we've done infiltration testing. In the front page, you can see infiltration rates there. They weren't great. They were slow, but the county wants to see these systems dewater in 72 hours. They will dewater in 72 hours,
So at the base of the lawn area, the low end, you've taken those readings or to verify that it will accept it?
we did them in the parking lot, we did them in the lawn.
Okay. Tell me, did you have to remove any construction that was there? In other words, any portions of walls or buildings or stairs to do this project?
The guardrails that Friar Rick mentioned are coming out. There's a handrail that is on the north side of the church that'll come out and be put back in. The guardrails are the only thing that come to mind that will permanently.
Okay.
Just the painted metal rail that separates the cars from the building.
From the building?
Oh, yeah.
So it's a bumper rail type thing, or is it just an iron?
About a pipe, yeah, just a
Okay, so it's a visual element for people to stop their car more than a real barrier.
Right.
Okay, so that's one of the things we were looking for. Hopefully you didn't have to remove any older portions of the buildings.
That's not historically, but
Well, you never,
we have some other renovations coming down the pipe to fix that area.
I have a question regarding the porous pavement. Is there something in place for maintenance? Because over time, the porous pavement is not porous based on dirt that gets into it, so it needs to be vacuumed, clean.
The county requires that for the
Okay.
funding. They require a certain amount of maintenance. They also have the city put a redundant maintenance requirement on top of what the county requires. That's a little bit of a...
So is it going to be a yearly thing?
what is it for the city?
It's twice a year.
Okay.
Vacuum swept.
Okay.
Because it won't work if it's not.
If it fills up, it
So that's
doesn't.
why.
Right, and the county has money, is investing the money to do these things, so they're interested in it.
All right.
I have to ask the question. You said there was also a city fee. Was it a fee that you were referring to? or-
They want they are putting their own maintenance on top of these projects So what they have is their standard stormwater management program
Yeah, okay.
for any new construction that goes in, and they require developers. There's no recognition, though, that these are basically standalone stormwater projects being done that the county's paying for,
Yeah.
and there's no recognition in the ordinance or by the city that that's occurring. So what they do is, on top of what the church is going to have
Sure.
to do for the county,
Yeah.
they have to sign a legal maintenance agreement. We've already submitted all these to the city, and then put a $2,000 security on the maintenance to assure that they're going to do the maintenance
Okay.
that the county is already requiring them to do.
Okay.
How long did it take that?
So it's part of the permitting process, is that what
That's
you're
part of
saying?
the permit process.
Okay, this is important to know. I appreciate it.
It's because it's important for it to work. I mean, it's based on, science in terms of how it will work, and if it's clogged, it doesn't work, so.
Well, there's two parts to that.
Yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
like I said, the county.
So, yeah, I know, so that they're ensuring that that's going to be maintained.
Well, I wonder what the city's really doing for that fee. In a sense, I asked the question, trying to understand the full process of your permitting requirements relative to maintaining the functionality which the county is guaranteeing. Does the city, in their security deposit, come and perform labor to clean it if it's not?
That's in theory.
Okay.
Probably in fact charge the,
I don't know.
And then, okay, so that's the intent, okay. Okay, thank you. Other questions?
Are we adding any additional downspouts to the building or any
We
surface changes
are-
to the facade at all?
So we're taking the downspouts that are already there, that basically, and they're either directly connected to the subsurface storm sewer, in which case we would just point them out with a 90 and put them into a catch basin out to the pores. Some of them are already disconnected, just over time they've broken off, loose, and it's still out on the pavement, so we would, again, be retrofitting those with just a 90 and put them out into a catch basin.
How many dry wells are you putting in roughly? Or,
Dry wells, I think, are only one.
and, okay,
Or no, two.
and is that for the surge capacity needed? Are they for the parking lot?
The city is also, they presume that the Hill Forest is going to get clogged, and they want to see dry wells to take
The backup.
when that occurs.
Yeah, it's
Is the
a backup system.
that's a backup system.
And a capacity issue is always the case with storms being what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, those dry wells are not sized to.
Well, that's right. So did you have any holding tanks for surge in the system?
No, the surge is going to go to the sewer. It's designed for a high frequency, low volume event. So if it exceeds, we actually designed this for 2 inches. Really, the sweet spot of the curve is 1 inch. But we get 2 inches, but anything exceeding 2-inch rainfall, neglecting infiltration, just assume infiltration isn't occurring, but anything over 2-inch rainfall is going to go out to the city sewer like it does currently.
It's a very tremendous amount of information. I appreciate it personally, knowing something of these systems, but not the detail this project represents. Are there any other questions relative to...
Is there anything in this back parking lot? It looks like there's stairs here. Is this lower? Is this not the church property?
It's the church property. It's behind it's the parking.
Right, that's our residence, yeah.
The one off of Isabel Street, right? Isabel?
Well, just the
Or this one.
The gray.
Okay, thanks. The little one, sorry.
But the other parking lot's not
On the
part of it.
Shown, and it's steeples.
Okay, it's for the private developer.
Are you doing, this is an interesting area because it takes so many people and you use this space. You know, it's like the public entrance into the gym area, as I recall.
Right.
I know it's an important area. Have you done anything to enhance that, since it's such a, in some ways, a front door to the youth in the neighborhood and so on?
I think you guys are in, is it you are in negotiations with them about that? They have some issues. Well, they would like to do the permeable parking there as well, and there's a requirement for them to give them requirements.
I think you're talking about the lot over here, that's
Okay.
right off Isabella, though, not this. This lot's kind of hidden away
Well,
from.
isn't this the entrance to the gym area?
It is.
Not that. This is North Salina Street.
The entrance to the gym area.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's off
That's
at
right.
Tava.
That's right here. That is right. You're right.
Tava, that's what I meant.
I was reading it this way, but this is
Oh, you mean like here? You are wondering about this one?
no, this is the one I remember.
Yeah. And they have plans to do the fence going in and grass.
Yes.
I'd
They
like to make a
presented that
motion.
before.
I'll make a motion to accept the plans as presented for the alteration of the site, including the land contours, the installation of the pavement, and the porous pavement, the rain gardens, the drives, as drawn, as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? Good, thank you. This is a very good project. I'm part of Greening USA, as others are. I think I've seen you there. I would suggest you offer this to them as a case study, bring in Mr. Case, and use it as an information, because it's extensively detailed, complex enough, and I think a lot of folks who could benefit from your efforts. So I suggest you contact them. Let me know if you don't know how to contact them.
Please come by anytime.
Just Diana.
Looks like a great project.
I know you're at the,
Yeah.
we're always
Just
looking for
demonstrate.
ideas on how to make our place look better and historical. I'll be back, I guess, at some point when we can do some of the doors.
Great.
And you also do me as a partner or?
Absolutely.
Sounding board.
It's approved over the last 20, yeah, it's amazing.
Well, I'm always looking for education. I know we're concerned with what do we do? Like, these doors don't work, and who do we talk to make sure that they do it the right way?
That's right. And please know, you're always welcome here to discuss a project, not only to call our staff for assistance, but you can come in and discuss a project fully
Happy to do that.
before you come to do your final submission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay, next, front porch.
So, this actually,
220.
price was not, we've been here, right, to the back. Yes, we have, so
This is a non-conforming,
This is non-conforming
Why is it non-contributing?
because of its age.
It's the date of build.
It's the date, it's the,
date of
and I've
construction
actually been
date.
wondering about that too, because some of these.
when was it built? I don't recall.
This is like 40s or 50s. So I
And what's
think
the cutoff on the period? Okay.
20s and 10s, 20s.
I would have thought somewhere in the,
Maybe
maybe
30.
early, mid-30s.
Yeah, mid-
30s.
So wait, when did the bays go?
Hang on one second. Let's get back on board here, if I can. This is the next application, CA 1917 on 224 Brattle Road.
It's not like
Is the applicant here today?
He's not here.
Okay.
city employee.
But I'm wondering if we can.
Should we go to the next one?
No. Okay, do me a favor.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm surprised he's not here. However, so something may have come up. And this is, as I said, it's a non-conforming property in the district. He is looking to. I have had a conversation with him.
Okay, let me do what Jim just recommended. Let's take the paint color phone first. Do that, and maybe he's coming in 2 minutes, we'd be fortunate. So the new application this morning was the last one, CA 1918 111 Circle Road, paint color, which I had here. There it is. No.
And usually with paint colors, I tell the applicants to do them unless it's something controversial. But so on the back side is.
Current?
Do you have a copy of it?
I did. There's an action here. No problem. I'll peek at yours. Okay, let's.
So
Is
on
it?
the back is what it looks like presently.
The blue.
And that's the one.
No, this is fine. Thanks.
So this is what it looks like currently, and they're actually looking to change the body color to this cafe blue, and it's not quite the white color, but it's sort of a blue gray. The trim's going to remain white, and the shutters will remain black.
Is cafe?
They're two different colors.
I know, but I'm looking at this too, and I see this one highlighted. I don't know if that's that, and I don't know what that.
It's this color.
Yeah, but that's okay. Fine.
Yeah.
It's a color print problem.
It is a color print problem, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and actually here, yeah, I didn't realize I had copied this on. That is God, I think it's golden linen, real gilded linen. or something, no. That's the trim.
No, the trim, yeah.
Yeah, it's Cafe Blue, but they both look different. They look different from each other, but.
So the body of the house would be cafe blue and the,
Trim would be white and the shade would be.
so
Looks
everybody
fine.
understand the motion?
I move that we accept the alteration as represented.
I'll second.
Yep. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and abstained, thank you. All right, we can move on to the one without the applicant. Rattle Road.
So, we should go next round of road. Apparently, the roof is flat, as you can see, and has, I think there's detailed photographs here of the condition.
What part of the roof is flat?
That's a general photo of what they want to do to the roof.
Okay.
Yeah. And it has created all sorts of problems. Certainly, the wood, as you can see, are simulated trim. What he is, what they would like to do, Mrs. Beck was saying, was in this proposed, they'd like to put in a roof like this. And then in small columns, square columns that would look like those that are on the garage, which is why I included the picture of the garage. So they're plain square columns. My understanding is it would be a metal roof. It may not have all of those architectural details that.
The capital of on the columns, you mean?
Is he talking about maintaining the arch, which is on the present roof, like this?
I believe so.
Yeah, just because he says this is just an example, then this is the roof, that doesn't mean that he's doing this. That's what I'm asking.
And the fretwork around the front door is very defining of the house.
Yes, it is.
Is there any way that he would be amenable to maintaining that and just putting this flared hip roof on top of that?
And I almost wonder why he's not using the two bay windows and their roofs as the model for, instead of putting in something that's
design.
a new design.
Exactly, I have a problem with that. The curved roof in the center of the two bays.
So your recommendation would be to make the roof type?
I don't know.
Over the bays?
I don't know.
Not sure.
I'm not sure that would be my recommendation.
I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
'cause
I don't know if they, well,
This is
go ahead.
concave.
Right.
These are certainly not, so it is, you know, it's going to be a new design element.
You know, it's interesting, this entrance is the feature of the house.
Right.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yes, it is.
Therefore,
And he's trying to, I don't want to say dumb it down, but
No,
he's
it would change.
plain Janing it.
you would lose this feature of
But
the house. Well, just let me finish the thought. I'm just saying, that my preference would be to take this as it is and try and fix the problem, as opposed to change the design and lose it.
Well, I would agree with you, because I don't think it's in that much of disrepair,
And I
because,
agree with you, and I don't think, and I'm looking at that detail you're looking at, I think you can raise the slope on the flat roof up to the
Right.
trim top line. There's about 2.5 inches there, which would be positive rain.
I think you
And
could
possibly go so far as to extend the cornice just ever so slightly of the porch so that it drips past the facade of details that are now dripping. So it could be a roofing problem that was never done right. It is a difficult roof in Syracuse to have a flat roof next to a shingle where you're going to get a runoff from the roof and splatter. Those shingles are going to look grayer than the others forever.
Right.
But I think you can solve the water problem without losing this feature.
I'd like to say that you could have a 3 and 12 slope roof, mono slope, that would be akin to the bay slope. They're probably more than 3 and 12, but with that you would get runoff, and I would agree with Bob that slight overhang around just like what's given at the bay. But I think you could save, because if you look at the detail shot, the pilaster and the column behind the front columns don't look like they're in total disrepair. It looks like the front corner column is in disrepair and, the cornice is in disrepair.
That's where the water's going.
Right, but
Coming right out that, running right down that side.
the other portions of it don't look like they're that far gone that I would start new.
I'd like to see what the floor looks like.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
I was trying to ascertain from the photo, it looks like it's stone, but it looks like you've got a lot of new mortar joints
we
on it.
could, if we could take a look at it.
Yeah, I think let's recommend that. I think the goal is to save the feature of the house, which is a defining characteristic of this house. Without this center, it's a fairly common house.
I guess
in
we
the
need to
suburbs.
just define if he was presenting just the roof as an example in his photo here, but changing the columns out to match the garage.
No, not recommended.
I mean, there's a reason that the garage columns are so simple. Because it's not, it's the service entry, it's not.
Well, the single column at either side wouldn't help, because this double column feature with a lattice is the decorative element. That's what's defining the small porch. If you look at the detail, the close-up detail on the last page, second page photo, and you can see how that roof of the porch area could be raised up to align with the top of the trim at the house.
Yeah.
And start your flashing and runoff with that extra pitch. And then if you extended it no more than an inch past the woodwork, and did a proper, this drip, by the way, which is a cheap one, pulls the water back to the house. This particular drip kind of sucks the water back a little bit down the column face, and that's where all the ice appears to have collected. So I would think a good roofing job could solve that without changing the appearance and not adding a slope roof above it. And you may have to go that way. If that doesn't work, you may have to go to add that.
Well, what do we want to report back to the owner?
Well, I think it's also important to note that the roof that he's proposing, the curved metal roof, is meant to be a center feature, and since the bay windows, I believe, project significantly more than the entrance porch, this roof is going to be lower, no matter what the pitch is going to be lower and less significant and just out of place in its appearance. And I don't have a problem even if you had to go up into the above that cornice line and metal flash behind the shingles to get a severe cant away from the house and get the drainage that you're looking for. And if you can get a half an inch pitch, it's going to drain and then treat the drip
appropriately. And then
it'll look a lot better and
save
retain what's already there.
And save what's there, Okay. So do we want a site visit? I guess that's the question.
Probably. We should evaluate it. From the pictures, it looks like it's savable.
Yeah. Let's schedule site visit drawings, and those who can make it, would be great if Julia, I'd be happy to visit. I know you would accept for distance.
My schedule's crazy, but
Maybe you'd like to see it, but you don't have to come in for that, that's what I'm saying.
Not too far from me, but I like to walk over there.
Okay, then we'll do that, thank you.
Yeah, we can't have too many of them.
I won't come.
All right, that's the end of new business. Is there anything for discussion? I think one item I'd just like to put on the docket for discussion is to have a session about, that we might have an internal discussion about our methods of reviews that we could look at in a general overview about recommendations of new projects relative to historic districts and guidelines. I think there's a lot coming forward, and we might, as a board, do we have a training session coming up? We do, don't we?
Yes, did everyone see that email?
I saw the email.
So
I haven't signed up.
It's going to be put on by the National Council of Preservation Commission.
Right.
And they're pulling it here in Syracuse, which is very excited. It's regional.
It's in October?
It's a good one.
It's in October.
yeah, but it was only, I thought it was the 23rd.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I have 17.
but
It's a full day training session. $30, $25,
Yeah.
something like that.
yeah, $30.
And you can get your
AIA credits, yeah.
your continuing ed credits.
Oh, okay.
But space is limited. I think they've
Okay.
limited it actually to
Good.
30.
Then I
I
just,
thought it was
that's a-
limited to 30, so
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, so if you can do it,
sign up early. That's a good session. I recommend it. I'd like to do
do
it.
you know where it's going to be held?
it's going to be in City Hall Commons. in April.
Oh, okay.
I'm planning to do it myself. I just haven't signed up, so I
I
better
haven't
do
signed
that.
Yeah,
up either.
please sign up.
Okay, then good. And then back to my point of discussion about our review standards. I also had a personal problem where I could not make a pretty critical meeting, the last meeting, with some significant projects, which I was not able to contribute to. I feel bad about that personally, but, and I think somehow we need to deal with how do we get, and we had a full board review. That was a full board review. We had a quorum. So I'm wondering if there can be such processes as dissenting points from non-members or what. So I'd like to ask a few
From an absent member.
From an absent member, not a non-member. In any event, that's an internal discussion about our standards and how we work these out. Sometimes we don't see things right till the meeting. Sometimes that's not enough on a complex project. There may be issues, too, that go beyond it. Usually we are confined by the guidelines, the district guidelines, and what we're asked to do is review. And designs are complex and need to go through rapidly. And I'm just trying to think of the best way the board and work with other agencies reviewing these projects to the intent of the review process.
Yeah, and that's something that Bob and I discussed over the phone too, that the applicants came with a letter from the State Conservation Office declaring that there was no adverse effect. And my comment was that I had not actually heard from the State Conservation. I would like for there to be a better relationship between, or more communication between, not that we have a good relationship,
Yes.
but more communication between the shipbuilders and especially on a project of that size.
Yeah, as
and you're a certified local government.
That's right, and as co-reviewing, it would be great to have you informed at the same time the applicant against that same letter. In other words, if they get a letter, you should have a copy of that letter.
I'd actually like to I'd like to have a conversation
Yeah.
before that letter is sent on so that the shipbuilder reviewers can understand more of some of the
It's
issues.
an excellent point. In fact, add that point to this list of questions that we
Can I
can
make a
discuss.
comment about
Sure.
that whole Jefferson Street, or the Market project? I felt as though it was, can I say it? I felt it was rammed down our throats. That's just how I felt. There wasn't enough discussion. I felt as though there was a time crunch and they wanted it done. And to say it's an orphan corner or it's a difficult corner, that doesn't mean we just accept what they give us because we want to put something in that space. And to use the idea that, well, you know, the whole area has changed a lot. Well, that doesn't mean that you just continue changing it.
Yeah.
There has to be a historic feel for buildings we put in downtown,
Well,
regardless.
But it was also the board, I wasn't at the meeting, but it was also the board who was in attendance could have tabled it, correct?
Yes.
Yes, the board can
So the
table.
board should never feel
Pressured.
pressured to make a decision if they felt that other members could contribute that were not there, that were unable to make the meeting. You know,
Or
to
any other
keep
reason.
delaying,
Or
right,
any other reason.
right.
Point's well taken. There could be a reason to say we want to postpone this, either more time to understand the project.
I didn't think that there was, and they came in with a sample of the stone that they were going to use, and there was really not a
Right,
lot of
I
discussion
think
about it.
that's probably the fault of the board, because the board needs to, if you feel that way, you need to say, you know, to the rest of the board, and if everybody's in agreement, table it.
That's a good point. So these are the kinds of
For
things
more
that
time.
I'd like to have. Now, to your point, projects are usually last minute, have to be approved and everything else, and that usually many times comes to the table just that way.
Right.
This group, however, was in for discussion previously. We had a good discussion session. If I'm wrong here, I think we had a good discussion session. We explained a lot of these issues. And the drawings were changed that day from a larger building to a slightly smaller building.
Yeah, but the materials were never dealt with.
No, you're absolutely right. And you asked the same questions, and we talked about setbacks, and we talked about alignment to historic issues, and there were none, basically, I think. So the issue would then be, what is it, the standards in a project like? That's a perfect example of a project like that. A project that's unique and doesn't address maybe the lists of defining elements of the district. What do we do then? So that's kind of the discussion.
I want to apologize for using that phrase. That's not, I didn't mean it to be so harsh, but that's just what came to my mind.
Well, we don't want discomfort on a board member feeling and not getting an appropriate review.
Back to the SHPO question. I mean, that's got to come through SHPO, because thinking about when I apply for the PRC number for SHPO for a project, I can put down on it to notify X number of people, but that's at the point where the letter is released.
Right.
It needs to be higher up in SHPO to say if there is a City of Syracuse project that the reviewer, because there's a specific reviewer for this area,
There is, yeah.
has a dialogue with you prior to issuing a letter, whatever, the condition of the letter is, whatever, outcome it is, so that you have input. And I think you're going to have to because there's no, I don't know, there's no vehicle for, in terms of law, that they have to notify the city.
And I've actually had this conversation already before with one or two of the reviewers. They do keep changing.
Right,
They've had
that's-
some change up.
right.
And certainly, this was also the case, if you remember, when SHPO had approved the change in the sign at the Niagara Mohawk building, when they wanted to change it to the National Grid. And SHPO had approved something, and we were actually able to come in.
Yeah.
So they were getting tax credits, and that was what it was, and we sent off a letter to the National Park Service to object to the change, and that actually worked, but that should be.
No,
That's already back in, right.
I think you're right on that. You would like to let the reviewer from SHPO know the position or views of this board before they do their final letter. It should not be independent. It's a co-review.
And there are some small reviews that they're doing that I'm not. It's these large scale.
Major projects.
And it's a very big letter when it comes from SHPO saying no negative impact on the area. When in fact there are issues from a local point of view that are contextual, that are important to this board and part of this board's responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard because they do change often, in terms of who's reviewing
But
the
the
area.
process could be the same. I mean,
Right,
regardless of the
but
change.
I think that the process has to go up higher.
That's a reason for the board to have control.
As well, it shouldn't just be Syracuse.
Right.
That's the purpose of us having this relationship with the.
Co-review. Do they call it a co-review or not? I don't think they do.
They don't call it that, but that dialogue is supposed to be those recommendations. So I'll work with that.
Okay, let's try and find time to do that somehow, either before or after a meeting, but let's address these issues. Any other?
And I think it's also important to note, we have a distribution of agenda and such material prior to the meeting. Anybody on this board that has a concern and knows they can't be at the meeting can very easily email the rest of the board and say, I have some concerns about this. I would like to be able to state them, but I won't be at the meeting.
Yeah.
That at least triggers a response from the members who are here.
I
Because this
agree.
thing was kind of pushed through, and the history of this site goes back a long, long time, and the city's position. I mean, I remember taking a major client to veto when he was at the Economic Development Board and being turned down because it was, I forget, only 4 stories or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, and now all of a sudden, this is a very different approach. It's going to be controversial. And we're going to hear about it. This is
It's a good point. This will be controversial when it's fully public. It's a strong, purposed project. It's well intended.
the construction barrier is already controversial.
Oh yeah, they've had the ceremony. They've dug the foundation. The construction barrier's up. They're moving.
Got a fancy fence up.
VIP?
Have you seen it?
It's a VIP.
Yeah, look at it, it's so,
But
It's probably full of graphics,
Just
little
had an
shops.
idea.
and
but it's graffiti type.
Okay.
Back to, just 2
No,
seconds,
no,
back to the
just,
ship.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, just let me say, I agree with him, I felt bad myself that I did not, I was not well informed, because I knew I wasn't making the meeting, I did not go through in detail. When I looked at the packet, it was intense, and not what I expected. I expected both projects to be different, based on our discussion, and then I wasn't able to respond. Okay, so let's encourage all the board members to write ahead of time your comments, or any reason for holding a vote from the day that it comes to it. Let's inform the rest of the board. Thank you, Kate.
Last comment about the SHPO. If we have a project that comes before us, could it be a requirement of part of their application is that they indicate if they have opened a file with SHPO? Because then you would know. Because the only reason they're going to open a file with SHPO is there's public money. If it's private money, you don't have that review. But could it be part of the application, through our board, that if SHPO has been contacted, it's in that application and you know what the PRC number is? So that you can...
Yeah, so that we can, yeah.
So
I see
you
what
can
you're
call
going.
and
Yeah.
say, I have some comments regarding this before you make your decision.
I think that...
'Cause then the onus is on the-
It's zoning, it comes through zoning.
Right.
I don't know if that's part of their questions, but I think that I can certainly get that answer from them prior to them coming so that
Right.
SHPO can be on notice that the LPD will be reviewing this and we will provide you with LPD comments.
Because it might be easier if it comes from our end versus their end. Because it could get lost in the shuffle, but here we have the vehicle to say, okay, you need to tell us if SHPO's been notified to review, so that then it's our responsibility or your responsibility.
I think that's a great suggestion. Could you consider adding that to the application if that's even possible?
I don't know if zoning will do that.
I mean, you're...
Well, that's the question.
My application, I mean, our CFAs would be very...
But see if zoning, yeah.
The zoning might be, zoning and there's something else. I do a lot of the reviews, I send a lot of those reviews to myself.
Right.
So I'm wondering if...
In other words, you get the request from zoning to do those submittals, is what you're saying.
Zoning, oh no, I mean that the project site reviews, they come, it's a zoning application that gets distributed to us. And so whether or not they, or they may be willing, it's worth asking them that question, whether they be willing to add to their application process, have you or are you planning to?
Right. Just as a matter of record, it's a very helpful reference to have.
Yep.
It's coordination. All right. Any other comments on that? Because you can see we have work to do. So if not, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second. Good. All those in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
I have a show and tell now.
Sure you can.
Yes.
Oh, yes. He's good.
I'm moving and I'm downsizing